what's up, folks? Haven't done one of these in a minute, so let me get back into the groove of things. I haven't drank as much either, which is it's very interesting for myself too. No reason why. I guess I'm anti-alcoholic. That's a lie. Anyways, let's get right down into it. I'd like to talk about the new event, quote unquote, the show Chernobyl. I know it's one of those that was heavily advertised during the end of Game of Thrones, which thankfully, due to the semi-lacklusterness of Game of Thrones being so rushed, it kind of filled the void that was left behind by a show that was ending, but also by that lack of pickup that we've had in the previous seasons of the show. Simply put, Chernobyl is a phenomenal show. It is only 5 episodes, and they managed to keep you at the edge of your seat every episode. The first episode sets you off amazingly, where it's pretty much like everybody kind of lost in the magic of what a nuclear explosion is. They literally stare at it like a spectacle, just like, whoa, look at that beauty, like it's up in the sky, it's caught my attention, but it's probably just a fire, nothing crazy. It's nuclear explosion, not much is known about it, so of course nothing was really initially done about it. You follow up the following day, and it's chaos pretty much everywhere. It's chaos within the first week. Just backtracking a little bit, for the firefighters that were there, they started to feel the effects almost immediately, and unfortunately they were dying within the first 2 years, if not even less than that. The death toll, which reported by Russia, is completely different than what came out. The death toll was probably in the tens of thousands after the aftermath, pretty much. The immediate deaths were different, obviously, because they got crazier amounts of radiation. But, over the time lapsing from the explosion, from the radiation that just kept flowing, the death toll was insane. Anyways, back to episode 1. Pretty much, it gives you the foundation of what a lie can breed. The lies from the level within the actual plant was insane. Basically, people wanted to rank up. People wanted to receive more of a notoriety of their job, as opposed to acknowledging safety, which is one of the big factors. But obviously there's safety procedures involved to prevent explosions, stuff like that, which you probably heard AZ 5,000-6,000 times in the episode, so you know that's like the safety stop. But because of how not necessarily poorly trained, but how unknowing the people were that were working, AZ 5 went from shutting down the thing to like skyrocketing the power output. It went from pretty much knocking the power down to nothing to like raising it 5 times what the normal thing. Don't quote me on that 5 times amount, but it's definitely something significant. Anyways, the first episode kind of gives you a taste of what's going to happen, and then 2nd, 3rd, 4th fill you in 100% on what has happened and what keeps happening, and why some people are dying, why people are getting radiated, why some people aren't as sick, why some people end up sick later on. Pretty much the 2 main characters, I forget the names. 2 seconds, let me look those up for real quick. You got 2 pretty much primary characters. That would be Valery Legasov, and then you have Boris Sherbina. These are characters that were there from pretty much the development of what was happening, and you get to see them go from understanding who was going to die in the process, and then you get to flash forward literally no more than 2 years, maybe 3 years down the line, and they're coughing. They've got blood in their pretty much, when they'd cough into a napkin, you'd see that, and you notice the effects, short-term range, long-term range. Basically, the show does a phenomenal job showing that sort of transition from episode 4 shows time passing. You see time passing with these guys getting sick. Episode 1 to 2 show how quickly things started to envelop, and you saw that with how quickly people started to get sick and die. So in terms of a show standpoint, they are phenomenal with showing the passage of time, but also showing the effects of the events in episode 1. In terms of tying it all together, the last episode is brilliant in that because it shows the final stages of the pretty much the court going up against the people responsible and trying to figure out where's the liability involved in this event. Of course, that just showed how much the Soviet Union was all kinds of fucked up, and they pretty much stripped Legasov of any natural human right, which pretty much led to him killing himself. But pretty much after it showed that whole thing, it demonstrated the what exactly went down on the day of the event. So it showed the lies on top of the lies, on top of the build, on top of the guy, I forget his name, let me find that name too. Dyatlov. Dyatlov was probably one of the most people closest to it that was responsible. He was responsible for the AZ-5 not working, but he was responsible for forcing a test that didn't need to occur given the right parameters. He helped lead to that catastrophic event had that not been dealt with. Had they not run the event, had they not run the test, people wouldn't have gotten sick, people wouldn't have died. Short-term, long-term, there wouldn't have been an explosion. Or at least not in that context. Possibly something else could have happened. Power outage could have caused the whole thing, and the AZ-5 would have fucked everything up. But he was more direct to it being caused. However, he's not 100% responsible. But anyways, I digress. I talk more about the plot because it's so fucking interesting. But the point is, the show is fleshed together brilliantly. The show keeps you on your toes. They use something as simple as a decimeter. I forget the name. And they use that a lot to demonstrate the fear and the realness of what the audience was beginning to feel, but not only that, but the people directly involved sifting through radiated water to try to fix things. Just want to obviously point out the brave people that got sick and died within, doing this. They are not forgotten, and I'm glad that was something that the creator made sure to put forward with creating this show. It still manages to be humorous at times, obviously, but it's very, very, very dark. It teeters on something that could be considered a horror movie, but I guess it builds with such thrill that you kind of get so pretty much enveloped in it that it's, it keeps you wanting more regardless of everything. Regardless of I had a little break there because my camera is fucking bollocks. Anyways, everybody got ripped from their homes, and they were told that they could return at some point. Obviously, that was a lie because nobody ever got to go back to their homes. They ended up getting pretty much returned to a whole different town and of a different area, unfortunately. But their pets got left behind with the intent of them returning for their pets. Excuse me. Those pets pretty much were dead. They were radiated and they had to stay there. The Soviet government basically set soldiers on missions to hunt and exterminate these pets, and this is probably one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in that entire series. The going into that and setting this young kid, which hit home because it was another one of those moments where it puts you in the shoes of people involved in it, like you going, holy crap, how could they do this? And then seeing that from somebody that was there. the scene pretty much builds to them. Basically, the older seasoned soldier basically tells the kid, you let these animals suffer, I will kill you. Which was perfect because the kid could barely understand, like, wait, I have to kill pets? And then he started doing it. He started doing it after feeling like shit doing it. But then after the fact, it gets to the point where there becomes this gray area all over again where he finds mom and dad doggies with a set of pups. And he goes from like, holy shit, how the fuck am I gonna kill these puppies and these two dogs? So probably one of the greatest scenes of this entire series is where the guy runs up on him. He's just like, what the fuck are you doing? I asked you to... Oh, shit. And he sees all the puppies, and he has the same response. It's like, he has a humane response after he's been so hardened about it. And you finally get, like, you know, even the most hardened person still gets stripped down to that, oh my god, just when I thought this couldn't get any worse, it gets 6 times fucking worse. And then afterwards, of course, after he sends the kid down and he tells him, all right, well, I'll do it, just leave, just go, I'll take care of it. And then you see the kid slowly walk away and you hear the shots in the background, which is, oof, that episode hurt. But honestly, it's such a down to reality, down to facts, down to, you could tell that the guys involved in it did a lot of research and they put it forward to tell a story, not only for the sake of telling a dramatic and intense story, but to show what people never knew about it. I remember hearing about Chernobyl, I was like, yeah, nuclear power plant burned down, or felt, you know, melted down, and it caused all these issues. Apparently it wasn't even a meltdown, it was an explosion, and then the explosion led to 6,000 other problems. So this was a historical telling, it was an accurate telling, and it was something that managed to immortalize the stories of these people that died fighting to save pretty much humanity in a way, because this is something that could have been so much more catastrophic. It could have spread all the way to the East Coast. I know there were reads about even up east in America there were radiation detection. There was radiation detected in East Germany from the explosion. I believe maybe Czechoslovakia, but I'm not even sure. But it was something that was so catastrophic that it was spreading, and that was even on the minimal level of what containment they were able to do. So, Craig Mazin, he is pretty much the guy who put it all together. He created it, he did the research, he went to Chernobyl, he did his due diligence to create something that he thought would be impactful on people. He directs things like Identity Thief, Hangover, Part 2, Part 3, so he's a known director, but honestly, compared to those things, this is probably his best work. Maybe, he carried on the stories of what was established in Hangover 1, but the rest are not so good, and Identity Thief was as good as it was crap. But regardless, I think that also paved the way for his success on such a phenomenal series. I think, simply put, it would have to get almost a 9.5 out of 10, because it's just a great fucking put together of a show. It's a great telling of a show. It's a great story. It's a great, I guess, simply put, it's a biopic of a sort that makes you feel exactly how a lot of these people felt, other than the people literally decaying in their beds and melting. But like everything up to that feeling, you get the fear base, you get the terror, you get the worry that came along with every single one of these people, and that doesn't even come close to what they felt compared to just the audience getting that from a perspective of outsider looking in kind of thing. So yeah, you know what, I take it back. I would probably give this show a 10 out of 10. There is just maybe minimal cliche-ish parts that come up between the back and forth banter between characters. However, that was addressed by Craig Mazin in the Chernobyl podcast, which is worth the time listening to. I'll drop a link just so you guys could check it out. He kind of, he shows you what is factual and what he kind of enveloped for the sake of television in order for condensing certain characters and still being able to tell a story. But yeah, it's 10 out of 10, I would say. Forget the 9.5, fuck that shit. 10 out of 10, because this story keeps you gripped, and you get worried that there's only 5 episodes, like Game of Thrones, and you still get a fleshing out of all the details that were necessary all the details that needed to be told and everything that had to be established for such great storytelling. So, highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Sorry about the spoilers. Maybe you should have, watched it when it aired like I did. But anyways, 10 out of 10 for that. I give it my blessing, and I tell everyone else to watch it. And that's it. Peace.